Hello, everyone. My name is Marco Lopez. I'm here on behalf of the Gnostic Culture, which is a non-profit organization that is in over 30 countries around the world and gives these kind of talks that may give people some kind of significance to their own life, and so that they can learn about themselves. So today's talk is about lucid dreams. This talk really needs a little introduction. We all dream. We all have many kinds of dreams. So what we're going to do today is basically understand what dreams are and what those dreams actually mean. Well, more or less. And then on the second and third day, we're going to try to give us the tools to understand and how to take control of those dreams in a way that we can actually make sense of them and we can take control of our own lives. So let's move to the first slide then, please. So, as it says there, dreams are the unfolding of the astral body into the fifth dimension of nature. So we have to understand what that actually means. So if you see the graphic on the right side, it does have that's a Kabbalistic tree, the tree of Kabbalah. And that tree actually represents us and our life, our world, as we can see it. So we would be living in the third dimension, right? Things that we can touch, things that we can see. So that's the bottom sphere there. It's what we call the fallen Sephiroth. This is what we know. This is the physical world. So it's the third dimension. The one above it is Yesod, is what we call the fourth dimension. And the one marked in red is what we are going to talk about today, which is the astral world, the fifth dimension, also known as the world of desires, and many other names. So what does that mean, that the dreams unfold there? That means that when we dream, and we all dream, even if we don't remember our dreams actually happen there. So it's not like it's inside of our mind. Dreams don't happen in our mind. So when we actually fall asleep, we go to the astral world. So that's why this is where the dreams happen. So maybe you have had a dream where you have met someone, some member of your family who already passed away. So this is the place where you can actually meet them. So this world is where the living and the dead meet, or can meet, not necessarily, but we can actually meet the people that have been in our past that are already deceased. So whatever happens in this realm, in this dimension, actually has a very interesting facet to it, that everything that happens there actually has to do with our life. And as it says there in the slide, nothing really is random in there. We can have random dreams. For example, when we actually oversleep, say you have your clock set to, I don't know, 7 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever it is, and you basically stop the alarm, and for whatever reason you don't fully wake up, and that dream actually then that if you fall asleep again, the dream that comes might be a very, very mechanical one, and a very chaotic one. So you might dream like, I don't know, that you're already at work and doing whatever you do every single day. So the dreams that we normally have during the night, we have 7 main dreams. Those dreams all have their own meaning, all have their own reason to be, but they all have to do with us. They don't have to do with anybody else. They don't have to do with, I don't know, with with what happened somewhere in the world. It all has to do with us. We are the central figure of our own dreams. So we have conscious dreams where we actually realize we are dreaming. And that means that we have a little bit of control. And we have unconscious dreams where things happen to us and we don't know why, we don't know how. We just know that those dreams sometimes doesn't make any sense. So in the sense that dreams are so significant to us, we have to remember that we have something that's called an internal world. So every one of us, we live in our internal world, but we work and we walk in the physical world because we have our own minds, we have our own feelings, we have our own habits, likes and dislikes, and so on and so on. That basically designates what our life is internally. We feel things in a very particular manner. So that we are actually makes a difference in our dreams every night. We feel something, and then we are going to feel that at night. So whatever happens into those dreams, sometimes they are very prophetic, sometimes they are very interesting, sometimes we have nightmares, sometimes those different dreams, they all mean something. So we have to basically make sure that we are armed with the knowledge that those dreams relate to our own life. And those dreams actually have to do with what we feel, what we had done, what we fear, maybe whatever happens in our internal life. Let's move slides, please. So Sigmund Freud says that the dreams are completely valid psychic phenomena. They are valid phenomena because they come from us. They come from our subconscious, as he very well wrote so many books about this. So as it says there, all dreams are centered on the dreamer. So we are the main actor in our own dreams. These dreams that we all have at night, they all give us clues of what's wrong in our lives. Because there is more going on in our lives internally than we might know at first glance. It's not everything that has to do with work, maybe with the issues we have in our life, personal issues, relationship issues, or whatever problems or joys we might have in life. So we have to basically realize and see our dreams are the way for us to know ourselves, which is the main goal that we are going to address in these talks. We are going to know ourselves a little better and take control of our lives so we can actually have a little bit of happiness and joy in our lives. Let's try next slide, please. So Plato, a man is known by his dreams. So we all think every day, and as we think every day, we know by now that those thoughts are actually projected. Our mind has the ability to project our thoughts. That means if we think about something in particular, we are going to be projecting that, and that image or feeling or whatever we are feeling that in that moment actually gets reflected in the astral world, in the one that's around us. So whatever we are then inside, in our spiritual world, in what we really are internally, that gets actually projected into the astral world. That is why it is called the world of desires. So we might be thinking that we need or we want something, a car, maybe I don't know, a relationship with someone or whatever. The thing is, we are desiring something, or maybe we're hungry. We just need some food. We just need water. If we think that, and that is strong enough, we are going to be projecting that into the astral world. So that is why sometimes when we go into the astral world, all we see is chaos. We wake in a dream and we see basically a mess. It's like horrible chaos. And it's like there's a storm everywhere where you look. So this basically gives us the clue that if we want to have lucid dreams and actually take control of our dreams, which we are going to try to do in the second talk, we need to be conscious during the day of what we are thinking, of what we are feeling, and basically pass those thoughts and those feelings through the 3 rules. Is it good that I'm thinking that? Is it helpful that I'm thinking this? Is it going to be practical for anyone that I'm thinking this? So if we cannot answer positively to those 3 questions, we cannot really say it's going to be good for us or for anybody else. And that is going to be a problem for us in the sense of having lucid dreams or actually taking control of them. So we need to basically rethink the way we approach our own life in our everyday, our daily life. So even though I said at the beginning, this is for everybody, because we all actually do dream, we all remember that, or maybe we don't remember those dreams. We all dream. But in order to have those dreams or take control of them, basically we need to take control of our life in here and in our feelings. So if we are able to take control of our thoughts, of our feelings, and basically be a little bit more conscious of our own selves, then we are going to basically have a very easy time with taking control of our dreams and taking control of our own life in the dream world. Let's change slides, please. So, types of dreams. these dreams that we are going to talk now are the different categories that we have that we can actually recognize the dreams. So if we look at them, next slide, please. So let's begin from the top then. So the unconscious ones. The unconscious ones are basically what we have been talking so far. These are the desires, the projections of our own minds, and the representations that we do. So if we, for example, see ourselves, imagine ourselves kind of fantasizing like, I don't know, driving a fast car. What happens if I could get the money to buy a fast car, sports car? So we would begin to fantasize about that. That basically is what we are projecting into the astral world, into the dream world. So those dreams basically then form what we dream. Of those 7 dreams that we have, the first and the last ones tend to be the most fickle. They tend to be the more shallow, let's say, in the sense that the body has not quite got into the REM state that is needed to have the deep dreams. So we have these kind of dreams that actually are very unconscious, and they depend on what we desire during the day, on what we felt during the day, and what our innermost desires are. So those dreams are always going to be unconscious because we have desires that are unconscious. We do not have control of them because we don't know actually what our innermost desires are. Maybe we think that I'm perfectly happy and content with my life, but that's rarely the case. And sometimes we actually dream of more, of maybe something that we cannot achieve, and we long for that. So those unconscious desires is what we are then going to be dreaming sometimes, and where we actually don't remember the dream. Things happen to us. If we remember the dream, things just happen to us, and we have no control whatsoever what's going on, and we just see ourselves in situations and things happen to us with no regard to us, no control from our side. So the next type is then the subconscious. As you can see there is a few types there inside the subconscious level. So, for example, the genotype, the hereditary, let's say, as it says there. The genotype basically means that we have a physical body with few traits. We are born somewhere in a family with such and such members. So we are born into some part of the world, and all that we have actually gotten from our parents, from basically our ancestors. What basically goes into the DNA of our physical body. That part is basically what is referred there to as genotype. So these memories that we have, they have to do with basically what we can remember from our childhood, for example. It's very unlikely that we are going to see, for example, ourselves as if we have a male body, it's unlikely that we are going to see ourselves with a female body, or we see as someone with a different race. We basically identify with what our body is. So we're going to see an image of that. And that basically is determined by the genotype that we have been born with. So all these kind of dreams, they basically have this in common, that we are going to be, in my case, for example, male, white, and bald, say. So all these things will always happen in my dreams because I identify as what my physical body is. The phenotype is then dreams that have to do with what we have as an upbringing, as what it says there. We have grown up basically with seeing what our parents did. We copied everything they did. As we know now, that children basically imitate everything their parents do. So those first impressions that we get from our parents, those impressions that we get growing up, those are basically what drives the dreams that we have or some kind of dreams that we have that have to do with what we have learned growing up. So we might have, for example, different ages. We have an upbringing from TV, right? So we might have this series that we saw as kids in TV that has had most probably a very strong influence in our childhood. Those kind of things have mark in our psyche. So maybe sometimes we are going to see people, actors that we actually remember from TV that are interacting with us on our dream. So this, of course, changes for everybody, depending on age, depending on the place where we were born, on what kind of school or schooling we have received. All these things basically shape our daily lives and shape our dreams, because whatever is our daily life is going to be what our dreams are. So we need to really understand then sometimes we have experiences in dreams that are related to, well, things that we know from when we were kids and things that we have known when we were growing up. And we need to understand those come from basically our life, the things that we remember from when we were growing up. Those have meaning as well. I mean, it's not just random, as I said earlier. So we have to realize what that actor from that series meant to us when we were growing up. So that will give us clue of what it meant that we saw that person in our dreams. And the prototype. The prototype are basically the circumstances that we are living in the current moment in our lives. So if we have money problems, say, for example, in this moment in life, it is very probable that we will have dreams that are, well, issues with money. So we feel anxious. So maybe we just have a dream that we are seeking something. We have a problem that we cannot solve. And maybe even that dream diverges into being a nightmare. Maybe it can happen. But in general, we don't have very nice dreams. If we are very stressed out in our daily life, that will have an effect on our dream world at night. So we just need to make sure, or try to make sure, that we kinda relax before going to bed. I know that sounds a bit difficult to achieve if we are having problems in life, but we are very malleable people in the sense that we have our minds are very malleable, and we are made basically mostly of water in this physical body of ours. So if we put some classical music from the great masters, Beethoven, Mozart, maybe, I don't know, Brahms, Vivaldi, Liszt, Chopin, the great ones, the ones that actually mastered the harmony. So that harmony can actually harmonize our body, and it will be easier for us to basically relax the body and try to go to bed with a little bit less of an anxious mind. So another thing that helps a lot, if we take a brisk walk right before we go to bed. We go outside at night or at dusk at some point, and we take a walk, but a brisk one, not just having a walk. We go a little bit more, a bit faster than we usually go in a walk, and that walk actually will relax, because that air from the night will help our body to relax. So if we combine those two tips, those can actually help us to try relax. You just have to find the music that you like from the great masters of the classical music. Another big type of dream that we can have on the subconscious level are the replays of our daily life. So if we have a very mechanical job, say, and we do the same thing all day long, that basically will have an effect into our dreams. We are going to see ourselves doing the same thing that we did during the day. That seems a bit of a waste, but that basically means that we are not conscious when we are doing whatever we do when we work. That means that we need to wake up. So it's a wake-up call. Our subconscious is telling us we need to basically wake up in our daily life to take control. And you might be thinking, so how do I take control of my daily life? My daily life, basically, if wherever I put my attention, wherever I put my sight, and I actually are conscious of what I am doing, of what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, so I keep control of myself in that moment, that will actually definitely help us to take control of our life, of our consciousness at least. So that's the first step. So that means that we should stop having dreams that are so mechanical, that we do the same things we do during the day. If we have dreams that maybe are something that, for example, we might see ourselves lost in a maze, like searching for the way out, and we are a bit anxious about that because we cannot find a way out, and we see walls and walls and walls and turns and turns and turns. So basically our subconscious is trying to tell us that we need to change what we do in our daily life. Not necessarily change what we do, but basically do it with a bit more consciousness, with a bit more, let's say, pizzas to life. We put attention on what we do. We put our whole being in what we actually are doing. And we might find that whatever we are doing, actually we end up doing better than we did before, when we were not paying attention to what we were doing. So sometimes we have dreams that are symbolic. The symbolic dreams are those dreams that we have that sometimes really throw us off. We have dreams that we don't know what it means. We don't know what happened, and we don't know how it all went down. But we do know one thing, that when we woke up, that is the dream that we remember. So we remember, for example, a detail about that dream. Whatever it is, a number, a person, a word, something. That dream has a clue, a very important one. It might be that it is a warning for ourselves to basically take heed in whatever it is that the dream is about. We're going to talk about that in a second. And but the thing is, we basically remember those dreams, at least during that day. They will fade from our memory during the following days. So one thing that we might want to do in order to basically really take control of our own dreams is to keep a dream journal. And especially in those dreams that we don't know what happened, but we remember vividly. We remember them. And basically we are woken up right after that dream. Maybe it's 4 a.m., but we are woken up. So that gives us the opportunity to basically take a pen and write it down, whatever happened, whatever we can remember. Well, there is a tip for this. If you don't move the body, so maybe you could have the journal below your pillow, and you basically have to move your arm, and you just, as you are sleeping there, you just basically write whatever in the position that you are lay down. So that will help definitely to remember the dream so it doesn't fade. And if we keep some kind of journal, especially of those dreams that we so vividly remember, and we were, especially when we are woken up right after the dream, those will give us a clue, a history, a pattern to what our internal psychological spiritual life is. And that will actually tell us things that we can then put together. Because those patterns that we learn that we have, maybe we have, for example, a pattern where we, I don't know, if we're a woman, our husband basically leaves us or doesn't pay attention to us or something like that. And something happens, and this always happens. This pattern basically is telling us there is something wrong with the relationship that we have with our partner. So, and the solution is inside of us, not on our partner. This is the whole point of the dream. Remember, the dreams are centered on ourselves. It's not centered on anybody else. Whatever we learn about the dreams is related to us and to nobody else. So then the last type of dreams basically that we can put together is the premonitions, the ones that those that doesn't make special sense to us at the moment, but we do remember them, not as vividly as the previous ones, the symbolic ones, but maybe we don't even remember them in the moment. I mean, during the night or when we wake up. But then we basically remember at some point, oh, this I have lived. And then I realized I have dreamed of this. And I realized that in the moment, and maybe not, maybe just people just feel, okay, I have lived this before. This is what they call a déjà vu. So this is just very simply something that we have dreamed about at some point in our life. And this basically is telling us something. So the ideal outcome here is that we remember during the night that we had a dream. We write it down, which will actually fix it somehow, if you will, in our memory. And that actually will mean that when the deja vu happens, we are going to remember the dream rather than just a feeling, I have been here before, or I have spoken with this person before, and I know how this conversation is going to go. So this basically gives us the opportunity to maybe not do a blunder, maybe learn what the person is actually saying, say, for example, if it's a conversation. So we can actually take heed of those words, maybe. Basically, put more attention to what is happening in that moment in the life, because there is a reason why we actually dreamt of that moment. Many times we have dreamt of those moments like years ago. So we could say that our life in that sense is a bit scripted, and our psyche actually knows what is going to happen to us years from now. And that is something that we need to learn, and something we need to basically use to our advantage. Let's try the next slide, please. So yes, now that we have spoken a bit about the different types of dreams and how come those happen, we need then to find out what those dreams mean. There is no certain way to basically say this means that. But we can see that we have some patterns that we can use. So we can recognize what constitutes something that we can recognize as a symbol that we can use to gather information that pertains to us. That will give us a clue of what we need to do, maybe what we maybe have done wrong, what we can learn about ourselves in certain situations. Next slide, please. So there are a few laws in this known universe that maybe are not known to the majority of us, but the dream world actually works like this. So the first one is the philosophical analogy. So we are going to see some symbols that we do not understand, that doesn't make any sense. But remember, these dreams, we are going to very much remember, and we are going left wondering what that does mean. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me at first glance, but once we write them down, it makes a lot of sense. For example, you might say, if you live in the eastern, what is called the eastern part of the world, Asia, basically, if you dream with a tiger, that means wisdom. In general, you cannot generalize with this, but in general, it means wisdom. So you have to then come to terms, basically, what the tiger was doing. Was the tiger helping you? Was it a friendly tiger? Was it a tiger that is basically menacing? Is it trying to eat you? Is it, I don't know, running away from you? We need to basically see what happened in the dream. So, for example, if the tiger is very, I don't know, helpful to us, it's guiding us. Basically, we could gather from that we are basically going in the right direction if in our spiritual world, which is the whole point of all of this. So if that tiger is not helping us, that most probably means that we need to change our ways, spiritually speaking, and maybe in the physical world, because what is above it is below. So sometimes we see, for example, ourselves in a vehicle. So we say driving and we go off a cliff. That is a bad sign. That is objectively a bad sign. So you might not then realize what that mean. What does that mean? But in the sense that we can know, for example, in general, all types of vehicles relate to the physical body. So that car that we are driving is our physical body. So what does it mean that we drive our car and that car goes off a cliff? So that means that we are not behaving ourselves in a healthy way. Our physical body is suffering, even though our spiritual body or spiritual self is more or less fine, but there is a problem with the health. And that obviously we are driving the car. So that car basically it goes off the cliff because of us. So we need to change something in our behavior, in how we eat, in how we sleep, or whatever the problem might be. So one needs to take stock of one's own behavior and see what the problem might be and see what the issue might be, because clearly there is an issue. Sometimes we see that we take a train and then we are kicked off a train, say, for example. The train also means physical body sometimes. It depends. But then the train, it's different because we are not driving it, right? So in the train, it's more like the train of life. So it's more or less like, I mean, in my life, how I'm behaving in my life. And if I'm, for example, kicked off a train, that means that I have managed to misbehave so badly that my life is going off the rails, or I'm not in those rails. I have been kicked off the train. So sometimes we see ourselves in the home that we grew up, say. That home also has the symbol of our physical body. Sometimes even the psyche. The home of, for example, our grandparents, where we have very nice memories of our childhood. Those actually then we can see ourselves then there, and whatever happens, it has a meaning in our psyche. So, for example, if you say something happens to you in that house, you cut yourself maybe, or your mom tells you off, or basically you see yourself sleeping in there, you need to basically wake up. If you are sleeping, you need to take stock of your life, make some changes in our spiritual life, in your daily life, because your life is slipping away. You are sleeping during daytime. So that cannot be good in general for your own sake. If, for example, you cut yourself, there is a clear problem with maybe violence. Maybe you are going to be cutting yourself physically, so you should be careful around knives. That varies, of course. So it depends really. But if we take that house being as our physical body, sometimes we take that as being as our mind, our psyche, as our psychological land. If we see the house very dark, very cold, and there's people in there that we don't know, that they shouldn't be there, things are broken, it's not like the house we remember, then that might mean that there is a problem in our psyche. and we need to investigate what that problem is. Doesn't mean that we are going crazy, mad. It just means that we might just be more conscious of what we think during the day and what we tend to spend our time with. Maybe it depends on each one of us. So the second one is the one related to the law of opposites. So sometimes we have a very nice time in a dream. We are dancing, we are having the greatest of times, maybe a wedding. Well, in general, this doesn't always happen, but in general, we can safely say that if we dream that someone is having a wedding, even us, we are getting wed to our partner or to someone else. That basically doesn't mean anything good, because the wedding, we tend to think that the wedding is basically the most happy day of our lives. It is something that actually has a great significance to us, right? So in the dream world, due to this law of opposites, we are going to understand that if we see a wedding, ours maybe, that means sorrow. We are going to have something is going to happen in our life that is going to let us down somehow. Maybe someone is going to leave, or the end result is that you are going to be feeling sorry, feeling sad, and it's not going to be great. And the opposite always, of course, happens. For example, the example that's written there in the slide, if we see ourselves crying for whatever reason, we are not having a great time in the dream. That means basically that we are going the right way, that spiritually, maybe not physically, but spiritually, we are going to understand things, and we are advancing, we are going steps forward. So we are basically going places. So then, of course, it depends of what we are dreaming, who it relates to, and so on, so on, so on. So we need to be very conscious of that and try to use common sense. And I know that doesn't sound very easy to do in this realm, but with this subject matter. But we just need to remember that the dreams are there to basically warn us about something that we have done wrong, whatever it is. And we can see what we need to change. Next slide, please. So the third law is the law of correspondence. This is the law that basically corresponds to as it is above, it is below, and as it is below, it is above. So in general, our life in the dream world is not different of our own life here. We might, for example, in our daily life, shower every day, say, and we have a certain way of showering, right? That we have come up during the years of how we shower. We do the head first, and so on, so on, so on. We shower in the astral world every day, as we do in the physical world. But the thing is, we do not do the same thing in the astral world, in the dream world, when we shower. It's a different ritual because we don't have the habits of the physical world. We have the habits of the astral world. It's a different body, you might say. So our world doesn't change that much. Many times we see ourselves going to work, we see ourselves working, we see ourselves talking with the neighbors, we see ourselves talking with our family, partner, friends, and so on, so on. So again, whatever happens in the astral world, in some sense, happens here as well. So if we see, for example, that we are hungry, that we are thirsty in the astral world, as it is there in the slide as an example, that basically means that us spiritually, we need something to eat, that wisdom. So that basically means that we maybe need to meditate a little bit more. We need to reflect on our life a little bit more. We need to see maybe what, well, kind of take stock of what are we doing wrong. So that will help us to basically move on from that issue, whatever that issue might be, and somehow transcend that issue if we take the right step. So this is sometimes tricky, but if you basically use common sense again, you use a little bit of instead of looking at this single tree, you look to the forest. You might see that in perspective. So you see your life from basically when you were born, and you see where that problem that you have right now began, and has it been a year ago, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, 30 years ago? So that depends on the importance of the problem. So maybe it's very important now, but you have lived, say, 35 years without issue. So now you have that problem, but you have to really understand what the weight of that problem is in your life. And the last one is the numerology, the Kabbalah. Sometimes we basically come off the dream, we wake up and we remember this symbolic dream. We are going to remember certain details very, very, very vividly. Say, for example, we remember the time. Time might be, I don't know, 2036. We see in our watch, which is digital, and we see 2036. So that means basically that we should take that number and use the Kabbalistic way of basically understand that number. So 3 plus 6 is 9, plus 2 is an 11. So then we should take the science of numerology, and that would tell us that, for example, 11 is the temperance. We are maybe lacking that in our daily life. We are too impulsive in regards with the situation that we dreamt about. So this dream that we remember, this number, this time, is about a situation, whatever we dream about. And that situation has to do with something in our lives. We need to recognize whatever it is. Maybe it's a situation that we can clearly recognize. And we know this might be because we have a conversation with someone that we have anxiety about having a conversation with that person. He might be our boss. He might be someone of authority. He might be someone that we have some kind of fear of, or whatever reason. So we see that maybe in real life, or this physical life, we tend to dismiss what that person is saying. We maybe tend to overreact to what that person is saying, or however we react to that might not be the right way to react. So if we say, for example, that we see that time 2036, meaning it's 11, You basically dismiss the zeros and you sum all the digits, the non-zero digits. You get 11, and 11 basically is represented by the temperance, and those meanings are basically in the cards of tarot. I do recommend that you use the Egyptian ones. Those are the most pure ones. The rest of them are not as good. So maybe we remember a year, maybe we remember, I don't know, a number, any kind of number. Maybe you remember a word. So whatever it is, and if the dream doesn't make any sense whatsoever at that point in time that we remember the dream, if we write it down and we'd say, for example, for whatever reason, we saw that the dream basically had to do with the year 1600, the 17th century, for whatever reason. This basically is telling us, okay, there is two numbers there, you take the zeros out, so that's 1 + 6. So that means that we have to basically work towards that goal that we are trying to achieve. Say, for example, we are climbing a mountain, say, and someone talks to us about, or we found something that we see the number 1600 engraved into it, or a paper, or a book, or something like that. And this is giving us a clue. So maybe the climbing of the mountain is something that we're trying to achieve, which would seem even logical, even that word is not really used that much in relation to dreams. But that word then, that number then is giving us the clue that whatever we're trying to achieve, if we can relate that mountain maybe with something, a goal that you're trying to achieve in our daily life, in our physical life, that will basically tell us, okay, this is achievable, but you need to work on it. Say, maybe it's a word. Maybe we remember a word that someone tells us, the word is the name of someone. We might then do two things. First, we go to a dictionary, etymological one, and we look what the word means. And another thing is that we could do is take the position of every letter of that word and see in which position it is in the alphabet. This will give us a number that we'll sum. So we take all the letters, say we have the letter, I don't know, AB. Let's say AB is a word. Let's make it this very simple. We would take the value of A, which would be 1, because it tends to be the first in the alphabet, and we take the value of B as 2. So we have 1 and 2, we sum those up, that's 3. So that is giving us something. So that means that we have to apply ourselves in the sense of we have to create something. We have to make it happen using the 3 laws of nature, the 3 laws of creation. So if you want, you have been seeing that there is few QR codes in the slides. The one that we have right now there is about the ebook that you can download about this talk. So you can actually read this instead of listening to me, which would be easier. There is one in some other slides that you can see that is all about donating to whatever we are doing. We are basically a non-profit. We don't get money from this, but everything do cost money. I mean, servers and services and programs and computers and so on, electricity does cost money. So if you donate, this money will go towards that. So we can basically then be able to do more talks like this. And the third one is the subscription. If you want to basically subscribe to this channel, where there will be more talks at some point, and you can be notified about that. So here are the three, on the next slide, here are the three QR codes. They're big enough so you can see them. So meanwhile we have those, let's try to answer a few questions that we have had during the talk. So, hi, we're in the third dimension. What's the fourth dimension? The fourth dimension is Yesod. We saw that in the first slide, in the tree of Kabbalah. It's the Sephiroth that's right above the third one. And then the fifth one would be the one that's marked as red. So that one is the dream of, the world of dreams. And the fourth one is basically it's basically an energetic world. It is where maybe you can sometimes see the mountains in the horizon, and you can see the mountains as blue. That is the energetic energy of the mountain itself, of the earth. So sometimes when people see someone's aura, that is the energetic world of our body, or the signature, energetic signature of our body. That is what is the fourth dimension. More questions. Someone called Atsam. If our dreams are in the astral, so anyone who occupies it could mess with them. Sometimes when we have nightmares, things happen to us, right? Nightmares we can recognize sometimes when we are in a dream and something is going just fine, just goes really nicely. And then we take stairs down. It's always some kind of going down. So we maybe go some stairs, some round stairs down, maybe some stairs, big stairs, but they are going down. We basically go some kind of, hill, down the hill, or we fall from somewhere and we end up in a room and you realize it's dark, it's cold, and then something bad happens. So all of this basically means, okay, we are in a nightmare now. And if we can then try to wake up, that would be to our advantage. In the sense that people can mess with our dreams, maybe not unheard of, but not very common. That is difficult to do and difficult to happen. But it can be. But that means that the person that is trying to mess with us has full control of the dream world. There is not so many people that can do that. So on the same odds, it might be possible, but it is unlikely, to be honest. So then there is another question. What's the connection between lucid dreaming and astral projection? Are we entering into different dimensions? Yes, lucid dreaming is basically what we do in the astral dimension. The difference is that we lucid dreaming is that we basically take control of the dream when we are already in the dream. We realize, oh, this is a dream. So now I can go here, I can go there, I can do this, I can talk to someone because it is my will. If it's an unconscious dream, I still can remember that, but things happen to me. It is not a lucid dream. Lucid dream is when I take control of the dream and I can make things happen. But I realized that the dream is a dream when I was already into the dream. The astral projection, though, is different. The astral projection is willfully getting out of my physical body, knowing that I'm going to get out of my physical body and go into the astral world. That is the difference. So it is different in that sense. Of course, the second option is far more difficult to do. We all dream. We all go to the astral world every single night. Maybe we don't remember, maybe we do, but that is something that is happening. More questions. How is the Kabbalah connected to lucid dreaming, or only through numerology? Well, numerology is just a way for us to basically draw conclusions on what happens in our dreams. The Kabbalah is basically a dimension or a map of dimensions. We live in the third dimension, which is the fallen Sephiroth, and we are trying to basically take control of what happens in the fifth Sephiroth, where we go to dream. So that depends very much of how we take control of our daily life. I spoke a bit about that during today's talk. But yeah, it's more than simply the symbol, because every single Sephiroth has different meanings, different purpose. Things work differently there. Because, for example, in dreams, we all know this. We have always, sometimes we float. We can go here and there, and we can fly, and we can jump, and we can do all those things. Especially when we were kids, we used to do that all the time, didn't we? So it is more than just symbols. There is a purpose to it. More questions. If we were doing gematria, I don't know what gematria is, sorry, would you have to convert the word into Hebrew? Oh, right. I'm sure if there is an English gematria has been created. Right. Yeah, I mean, that depends on the language that you dream on. I mean, of course, it might not be English. If you dream in Hebrew, of course, you need to basically use your alphabet, and you use your language, your meanings, to basically make sense of what is happening to you. So yeah, most definitely, whatever your native tongue is. Dorothy Key, is it bad to share your dreams with someone, friend, partner? Depends on the dream, I guess. It might be telling them more than we may wish for them to know. If it's our partner, well, why not? We share everything else with them in our daily lives. Friends, depends very much. Depends on the dream, depends on the friend. But I would be cautious, because we all have these desires that we had. We spoke about these desires that are completely unconscious to us, but we do have them. And all of them, I mean, all of humanity have them. So maybe someone might have a desire to basically, I don't know, maybe he's a friend at work, and maybe he wants your post, your job. He is not conscious about this, but he wants it. So maybe sometimes we're telling too much to some people. If it's a very good friend, a proven friend, yeah, I don't see much issue with that. Depends on the dream, of course, again. And the last question seems to be from Mawili. What can I do to dream? I find it difficult to dream. The problem is that you are not remembering them. You are dreaming, we all do. You do not remember them. So in the next talk, I will be talking about basically taking control of our dreams. I will share a few techniques, but I can give you a tip now. For example, try to find honey, good honey that is not being pasteurized. This honey that comes from the beehive as it is. No changes to it. Try to take a small spoonful right before you go to bed. It turns out apparently that the honey has all the right glucoses that goes and gives the brain the ability to make our body actually relax, which sometimes we lack. And honey, the real one, then not the one that's been pasteurized that you can find in the supermarkets, the real one will actually work wonders for that. So you will be able to relax better at night. That means that you will actually leave your body, that will then have an oniric experience. You will dream something, whatever it is, and you will have some kind of experience. And as your body has rested, you will be able to easily remember the dream, or more easily. So it might take a bit of time for this to actually come to results, but it certainly did for me. I mean, it did work wonders, especially the first night. But yes, it definitely works. I can attest to that. So in the next talk, I will be giving a number of tips to basically relax the body. I already spoke about classical music on this one. I already spoke about giving or getting a brisk walk at night when it's a bit colder, and that will make the body then relax when it goes under the covers in the bed. And all that is love is asking if the dreams have lords or masters that you can ask them to help us to interpret dreams. Well, we have our own master, really. We are part of a bigger, let's say, being. And there is one part in particular which is called the Divine Mother. And that Divine Mother is extremely powerful, and she will grant us the ability to understand dreams, to understand what happens in our dream world, and to help us actually remember them. So if you just would do a simple, let's say, prayer to your own Divine Mother, it doesn't matter what religion you practice. We all have a Divine Mother. It's energy. It's not a person. It's energy that basically takes care of us. That being that lives inside of us basically will make her most to help us to understand what we need to understand what happens in our daily life through the dreams. And so we can then be able to understand the dreams that we are having. So we can basically change our lives. There is 2 more questions apparently. So we have a little bit of time then. So NVIDIA asks, when we have prophetic dreams, are they given so that we need to intervene in some way or another? Well, yes. Otherwise, there would be no point in the sense of having that dream. So yes, we should maybe take some kind of action, maybe reflect on that, of what that be, because it depends on the dream, right? Because sometimes we dream that someone who is living is about to die or is dead or something like that. So the worst thing we could do on that moment is to call the person, well, I dreamt that you are going to die. So that is scaring the person needlessly. That is causing anxiety. That is not the reaction that we need to have. So maybe reflect on whatever happened on that dream, what the conversation was, and act accordingly. Another question from someone called College. I dream every night and it doesn't let me rest. Is there a way controlling when not to dream? So that means that you are having dreams that basically well, not nice dreams, let's say it that way. So what I can say is that in general means that you are not relaxing enough. Try try the tip that I gave earlier about the walks. Just go take a walk around the block in a brisk pace, and that will basically help us, the body, relax. When we go to bed, you can also try to basically, when you are laying down, you are in your bed, you basically willfully, consciously try to relax your body. You go piece by piece, you begin from your feet, you feel your feet, and when you feel your feet, you will notice that it begins to tingle in that very special way. And you keep going up, then your ankles, then your calves, and so on, so on. You do that until you reach the top of the head, and you will realize your whole body is tingling with the same feeling. That means that the body is beginning to relax. I would say that you basically need to relax at nighttime. Another trick would be, for example, to try to relax the body, do not move a muscle, then you tense every single muscle you have in your bed. You are lying down in your bed, you tense every single muscle, and then you release. You tense, you release. You tense, you release. So that helps you to basically, or the body to realize it needs to go to sleep. It helps it realize it is tense. And then if you do the going over the body to basically try to dispel any tension that is in the body left, that should help you to relax. Of course, meditation, relaxation, bath maybe helps as well. All these kind of things that we have been told by our grandmothers that actually do work. So no more questions. I could then thank you for your attention. Thank you for the questions. I'll see you, if you are still interested, tomorrow, same place, same time. Thank you very much. Bye.